Well, hello. Welcome to TTTJR. I'm here with Pueschel Schneier. Schneier. I'm so sorry. We just did it 4 times.
I've been called everything in the book.
No, don't. That's not good. Hey, so thanks for tuning in, and we're gonna kick this off. Very interesting lady here today, and I'm so pleased that she made the trip way up here in the nosebleed section of Escambia County and what I call God's country, and I love it here. But she's here today. We're gonna talk about some things about her and some things that drives her to do what she does for our area, and it's interesting, and I hope we get into why this neck of the woods, and I'm just going to say District 5, but why this area north of my mile is important to her. I hope everybody's kicking off this cold weather very well and you're staying warm. Well, welcome. I appreciate you coming up here.
Thanks. I appreciate the invitation to come up here.
Yeah.
So, my name is Pueschel Schneier, and I was born and raised in Pensacola. I was born at Baptist Hospital. I actually grew up in Cantonment, which is just a few miles south of you here in Molino.
So, when people say Baptist Hospital to me, they always make it a point. The old Baptist Hospital.
Sure, yeah.
Is that the same?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Old Baptist Hospital on E Street. So I grew up in Cantonment. I went to Jim Allen, Ransom, and Tate for the 9th grade, and then I graduated high school at Pensacola Private School of Liberal Arts. I went there for the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and then I went to PJC, which is now PSC, for office management. And then I got a job as an office manager, and I was at the same company for a little over 13 years, and during that time I got married and had a baby. My son is now 21 years old. And when he was 3, so in 2008, I started a business. I started a cleaning service, residential cleaning service, and it grew into a kind of an Airbnb and condo cleaning service. I still do small offices, residential, and condo. I call it condo cleaning because it's Airbnbs. And then I also own a vacation rental management company where I manage Airbnbs and clean them.
Okay.
And so anyway, that's what I've been doing for the last.
So you just went right into office management right out of school. You didn't have any jobs before that.
Oh yeah, I had
So I tell people here that I like in high school I worked at Wendy's.
So my very first.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I never did fast food. I did work at some restaurants like on the beach on the boardwalk for Dean and June Baird. But my very first job was at Winn-Dixie. I was a cashier. I worked at Del Champs. I was a hostess like at Daryl's.
Sure.
1821 behind University Mall, and a hostess like at Steak and Ale.
Okay.
And I mean, I've done everything. I was in the military. I was an 88 Mike for the Army, Florida Army National Guard. And I was a limousine driver. I mean, I've done everything. I can drive 18-wheelers. I can wait tables. I can clean a house. I can do pretty much everything but cook.
All right. Well, Florida. Let's back up because you can't just glass over the Florida National Guard. Like, wait a minute. So, how long were you in the National Guard, the Florida National Guard?
About 8 years.
8.
Mm-hmm. I was a weekend warrior.
That's still. Let's wait a minute.
I mean, I was able to live here and have a job, and I was going to PJC.
Sure.
And then 1 weekend a month, you know, we'd go and do our thing and go have shootouts in the woods and have all kinds of fun.
So 2 weeks a year too, though. 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. So, but everybody serves differently. There's no. You know, and don't get me wrong, career guys have statements they say about reservists, and reservists have statements they say about career guys. But at the end of the day, we all somebody serves in the capacity that they can serve. And that's, I've talked to you numerous times and never knew this. And we just had a conversation about not saying too much, and you were getting on to me. So wait a minute. So what drove you to do that? Now you've opened a door and I have to go through it. So what drove you to do that?
Okay, now you're asking questions that I have to figure out how to answer it without answering. My dad was in the Army. Okay, so
Yeah.
I come from a military family.
Okay.
And so my dad was in Vietnam. My parents met at UWF, the first year of UWF. I think it was 1968. They both moved here from Panama City. They didn't know each other in Panama City. My mother's father, so my grandfather was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. And his last station duty was at Tyndall Air Force Base. And that's why they were in Panama City. They came from Anchorage, Alaska to Panama City.
Wow, drastic.
Yes, yeah. So my mom went to Gulf Coast Community College, her first year or 2 years there, and then came to UWF, and my dad came to UWF. And that's how my parents met, here in Pensacola.
Okay.
And so my mom got pregnant right away, like pretty much immediately. And so they got married, and my dad said, "Oh, I got to take care of, my wife and baby for the rest of their lives." And he joined the Army with the intention. He had gone to military. He had gone to Marion Military Academy for high school.
Okay.
And he graduated early. He was doing dual enrollment with college. So anyway, he graduated high school early, but he went to Vietnam as a helicopter pilot and was a warrant officer. And after Vietnam, they discharged all the helicopter pilots because they didn't need them anymore. And so my dad re-enlisted in the Florida Army National Guard.
Okay.
And went back to UWF and got his accounting degree.
Okay.
But so anyway, fast forward to me, to the reason why I joined the Florida Army National Guard was I was very young, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and my dad was like, "Well, if you join, the military, they'll pay for college, you'll have a career, you'll be able to do pretty much whatever you want to do in life." And I thought, well, that's a great idea. I'll go to boot camp, I'll get in shape, and
Sure. No, I'm laughing for a reason, but I mean, it's not a bad reason.
Because I had no idea what I was getting into. No idea what I was getting into. But boy, I found out pretty quickly what boot camp was all about. But anyway, yeah, I have some pretty funny stories about that, but I don't want to go into that right now. It's too long.
Yeah. I'm sorry I went down that road. I didn't know, and that's awesome that they hear that, and I don't know, do a lot, I'm going to ask this bluntly, but do a lot of people know that?
Probably
you
not.
Served? That's, yeah. I'll tell you what, I just because I may know somebody that served myself, and I have great admiration for anyone that puts on a uniform, whether it be military, fire, police. Yeah. I even consider a teacher's uniform to be a uniform, right? Because you're choosing a life of service, and that to me, that just elevates respect level. And it's not because you choose that; it's because you have been called and you choose a life of service, and you're not gonna. There's times where you can't pay certain bills, right? But you're giving more of yourself for others. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry that if I went too far, but
that's fine.
But you're talking about that boot camp stuff and getting in shape. You know how many weight loss programs are out there, and how much let's go to the gym.
Just go to boot camp.
Just go to boot camp and join the military. I guarantee you they have a weight loss plan. So yeah, go. I'm sorry. Let's go back and get on track here. So yeah, you started a business. You're doing that, and you said that's all you, and that's what you've been doing. Mm-hmm. Well.
It's not all I've been doing.
Yeah, you kind of host a show too, right?
It takes a lot of my time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the Thornton Review is a political talk show where we have guests on, such as yourself. But so Charles Thornton started the Thornton Review way back in the 90s. He was doing a podcast, and in September of 2022. Charles approached me and asked me if he told me about the Thornton Review, and he asked me if I wanted to help him get it started back up. And I didn't know what capacity he was asking me, but I met with him and Vernon Watson of WBQP TV, and we had a meeting, and I was basically listening to their conversation and how they were describing what they used to do, and I just did an outline for the show right there. And in my mind, I was thinking Charles wants me, because I had been the president of Panhandle Tiger Bay Club, where when I was the vice president of the club, it was my job to line up the speakers to come into town. We were getting statewide and national speakers to fly into town to speak to us. So I had experience doing that. And I thought that that's what Charles wanted me to do. It would be to be behind the scenes and kind of managing the show and getting the speakers to come in. Because I'm also the secretary of the Escambia County Republican Party. So I know, I know some people. And, but he wanted me to actually be on the show with him. So the show started off in October 2022 as Charles and I interviewing our guests. And we did that for about a year, and the show kind of evolved. It's been through an evolution for sure. It has graduated to, we now have a professional videographer, Taramis Boykin. He actually has a degree from UWF in production, video production. So he comes in and does the show for us. Where was I going with that? What did you ask me? So I do the Thornton Review. I am the executive producer and manager of the Thornton Review. And Charles is so busy doing everything else. I mean, he is involved in literally everything in Escambia County. So I'm interviewing the guests now myself. So if you watch the Thornton Review, it'll be me interviewing our guests that come on. And I absolutely love doing the show. It's my favorite thing ever.
So you have a cleaning business.
I do.
You have the condo rentals, or the Airbnb rentals, and now you host, interview, and executive producer of the Thornton Review, secretary of the Escambia County Republican Executive Committee.
Yes.
There's only 24 hours in a day.
Right.
What else you got going on? Because that's pretty busy. There's some things going on here. So.
Well, I have a son. Who is the world to me. My world actually revolves around my son.
Okay.
Love him more than anybody.
So let's put another tick mark in there.
He's 21.
Okay.
And when he was in the second grade, I'll back up. When he was 3 months old. 3 months. My in-laws were visiting in town, and we went to Sam's Club. And there was a bin full of junk in this. I mean, I call it junk, but it was a bin full of things that they were selling. Okay. And they had some really cool looking books. And one of them, the first book that I found was a dinosaur book. And it was just this brilliant book about dinosaurs. Okay. And it was just very well written. And it was something that like a beginning reader child might be able to pick up on some of the words. And that would really teach them something about dinosaurs. But then there was another book that was in the exact same format. You could tell it was like by the same author, same company. It was the President's book, the United States Presidents. And I picked up these two books, and I said, I'm going to get these. And my mother-in-law was like, well, he's only 3 months old. Or, why don't you get something age appropriate? And I was in love with these books. And I said, well, I want to get these books because, by the time he starts reading, I can read him these books. Okay. And I'll just hold on to him until then. So he was more interested in the President's book as he began to start reading. He had other books, but when he learned how to read, he memorized that President's book. Memorized it. He could tell you every single thing. He'd tell you all of the presidents in order. He could tell you their vice presidents. He could tell you their political party. He could tell you the issues of the day. He could tell you, who their predecessor was and who their successor was. By the time he was in the second grade. Okay. And when he was in the second grade, he said that he wanted to be the president when he grew up. And I thought, wow, those are some big shoes for mom to fill, you know. You got to usher that in. What do I have to do to pave the way? So I became the PTA president of his elementary school. I just threw myself into everything I possibly could. I became the education director at church. the Sunday school director, and I was on the church council, and I was on Ultra Guild, and I was on the financial team, to count the tithes and money that comes in. And
Sure.
so I just did everything at the church. And
Sure.
And at his school. I was always at school.
Okay.
And then I had a friend who, in 2015 or 16, I had a friend who was on the board of directors for the Panhandle Tiger Bay Club, which was Panhandle Tiger Bay. Not a lot of people heard about it. Back in the 1970s, Senator Broxton's brother, John Broxton, started Panhandle Tiger Bay. It might not have been the very first Panhandle Tiger Bay, but he brought it to Pensacola.
Okay.
And it was an exclusive political club that was by invitation only.
Okay.
And the dues were $300 a year, and it was like it's a monthly luncheon club where you go and have lunch. It was down at New World Landing.
Okay.
Was that Scopolo's at New World Landing? I think it was. So they would have a lunch buffet, and then they would have the speaker come in, and they would fly in the speaker from wherever, very well-known political people. Names escape me right now. Don't
Sure.
ask me who, but it was people who you heard of. But as the years progressed, from the 70s to the 2000s, we kind of weren't getting new members in, and the old members who had been in since the 1970s were getting elderly or passing away, or people move away, and we just weren't getting a lot of people in. So right before COVID, we chose to dissolve the Panhandle Tiger Bay Club, and we donated what we had in the bank to UWF as a perpetual scholarship.
Okay.
So we put those funds into perpetuation because they're in an interest-bearing account. So
Sure. Well,
so we did something good with that.
Yeah.
And so
So
you're taking a lot of notes. I mean, you plan on writing a book.
No. So what I do, and I explained sometimes I explain this, but I take notes.
I do too when I'm doing the show. People start throwing out numbers or facts and stuff.
Well, when I hear,
wow.
so I do it when I hear something interesting. So if you're saying I'm taking a lot of notes, it's because it's something interesting.
Okay.
I guess I'm finding a lot of interesting
So
tidbits
you
here.
and I have known each other a long time, and I kind of feel the same way. Like you're learning a lot about me because I tend to be a blabbermouth and just start telling everything.
Sure.
But you,
What?
I have to really start pulling teeth to get information out of you sometimes. But anyway.
Well, so I tell you this. It's the whole mentality of a village. And I say that because I learned it through my last job that you can't ever do anything. I don't believe you can ever do anything by yourself. So just like behind you, you have Don Sutton behind you. He's from this area, and he took the mound and did so well. And Dale Murphy is here, and you have all these things, and Jose Canseco, yes, I know, but there's a syringe down here, and he signed it, and it's pretty funny. But all these guys that I have up behind, they might have been great, Bob Feller and Tom Glavine, Nolan Ryan.
It's like a museum in
But
here.
they weren't. They were good. They were great players. They were Hall of Famers, but they were on a team. So they didn't go out there and play all these positions by themselves. So it took the team to elevate them, right? So when you say that I'm a closed book, I can tell you that the teams I've been a part of have allowed me to get to where I was. It's not me. It just so happened that I was on a good team, right? So it's not that I don't. And talking about myself doesn't.
It does take a team.
Yeah, talking about myself is terrible. That's I just let my actions work, I guess, and I think you're the same way.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So the more we talk, the more we learn.
Yeah. So when my son, when he was little, and I was, on the board of directors of the Panhandle Tiger Bay Club, I would keep him out of school on the days that we had our meetings so that I could go introduce him to everybody I possibly could. And I surrounded him as much as I could with adults who were, doing something, who were moral
Sure.
who were just, in my opinion, good people. Probably in the general population's opinion would be, a good person. But
sure.
I just tried to surround him with people who, I don't even know the words I'm trying to describe, who were moral and decent and good and, college educated and who had careers or who were elected to a position, who were actually doing something with their lives.
Yeah, you had your second grader tell you wanted to be the president, so
Right.
you don't want to put him in, and nothing wrong against any of this, but you don't want to put him there with a school teacher. You want to put him there with people that are going to propel him to that future.
Yeah, so I originally wanted to homeschool him, but I couldn't control him. There was no way, because he knew what he could get away with me. And he's so social, he never meets a stranger, and I thought, I'm just going to be doing him an injustice if he's just at home all day with me.
Right.
So I wanted him to be in a school where he could thrive with other kids his age and, be taught the way a teacher would teach, not the way I would teach because I'm not a teacher. But I did, so my homeschooling was after school, and it was all, a lot of it was political.
Sure.
A lot of it was just taking him to different meetings and board meetings and just surrounding him with adults who were doing something. So
you brought up that your son and the Tiger Bay Club, you took him to the Tiger Bay Club. So I will say that I did see a post that you posted, and I am saying this, and I don't know, are you comfortable about saying when you went to DC?
Yeah, because it was probably a public post.
Yeah, so. And but you were in DC with your son.
Okay.
Do you mind sharing why?
Okay.
Not recently. I'm talking about
okay.
like a year or so ago, like what he did.
Well, so my son turned 18. Okay, I'll back up. When he was 17, he became the I forgot what his position was, but the TARS, the Teenage Republican Party of Florida, which is an actual thing. It's recognized by the RPOF, by the state of Florida. Sure. It's called the TARS. That's the acronym. It's Teenage Republicans.
Okay.
He got elected to a position with them. So we drove down to Tampa for their annual meeting for him to be elected and inducted into the TARS. And then we went to NatCon, which is National Conservative Convention in Miami. And it's a 3-day convention where they have, elected political officials come and speak to this huge crowd. And, they have the breakaway sessions where each room that you go into has a different speaker. So you choose where you want to go. And so we went down there for 3 days and did that. And he had been doing this online election simulator since he started doing that when he was 13, I think. And he would come home from school and spend 6 hours a day on this online election simulator. And he learned from other teenagers and from young adults how to do a campaign speech, how to write a campaign speech, and how to actually speak the speech and how to get elected, because they were actually electing each other on this online election simulator.
Sure.
And he threw himself into that, and that was his hobby and that was his passion. So when he turned 17, he was actually elected to this real teenage thing. And then we went to NatCon, where he met people from all over the state, and probably all over the United States were there at NatCon. And so he met some people who he knew from that political election simulator. He actually met them in person. Okay. Well, they introduced him to some people in Washington, D.C. And so David applied for this internship with American Moment with the Heritage Foundation, and got the job. And he was one of the youngest people ever hired. And I think he was the youngest, because they typically take early 20s that have a couple years of college already. And he got this internship with, they matched him with Congressman, why can't I remember his name right now? I'll think of it in a minute. But sure. He worked with him for 3 months, and then he worked so essentially, David turned 18, already had a job lined up, and moved to Washington, D.C. So my husband and I moved him up to Washington, D.C. We ended up staying there 10 days because we didn't want to just drop him. We didn't want him to fly up there, without us, because we wanted to make sure that he was making the right decision and that he felt like he was making the right decision.
Sure.
Because we didn't want him to get up there, and the next day be like, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? I want to go home, and we were already back home. So we ended up staying there for 10 days because we thought that's enough time for him to make a decision.
Sure.
He couldn't wait for us to leave. I mean, he turned 18 and moved 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
He got as far away as he possibly could. But, okay, so he was working at...
So 18 years old, got an internship with a congressman out of D.C.
Yes.
That's...
On Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
In the Cannon building. And then, so his second internship was with Matt Gaetz in his D.C. office. So that was very, that was a very positive, that because we lived in Congressman Gaetz' district, and for him to have faith in us, well, we already knew him.
Sure.
I don't think that's the reason he got the job, but I'm sure it helped. But David got a lot of experience in working those two jobs, and then for the last 2 years, he has been working in Congressman Perry's office from Pennsylvania. So he's been working the same job for 2 years. And now over Christmas vacation, he came down for 2 weeks because he had the 2 weeks off. And he got his wisdom teeth taken out, and he got his national security clearance.
Okay.
Because they were doing a background check. He's got a new job lined up. I can't say it yet because he hasn't announced it yet. I'm going to let him announce it first. But today is his last day at Senator Perry. I don't know why I call him Senator. At Congressman Perry's office. Today is his last day. He's been there for two years. And today's his last day. And so I thought it was special on the way over here today. I was thinking, okay, well, this is special because I get to brag about my son, which I brag about him all the time. And I'm sure people are, sometimes rolling their eyes like she just thinks her son is so great, but he is.
Sure.
I think it's important for parents to brag about their children. I think it's important for children to hear their parents bragging about them because anything to lift up your child and to make sure that they grow up to be a positive and decent person and not smoking cigarettes with their pants on the ground, out hanging on the street corner.
Sure.
I think it's important. And so I love to hear other people brag about their kids. So if anybody wants to brag about their kid to me,
you up.
Please do, because I love it. I think kids need to hear it.
So I'm gonna remain neutral, but regardless of where he was at in D.C., that's from 3 months old of picking out a book to second grade, remembering everybody in the book, and then going to D.C. at 18. Getting his first internship to now continuing those internships with whoever from Congress.
He was actual staffer for an internship is like kind of like a training period where so he had 6 months of that, and then for the last 2 years he's been a staffer.
Okay, so staffer for congressmen. I mean, you're looking at a progression here, and then now the new job. Wherever it's going to be.
I wish I could say it. I don't want to say it before he does.
It looks like. Circle this back to you. You said you're going to throw yourself in to get your son to wear. I mean, it looks like Mom did the best she could. So good job.
Really, really tried.
Good job.
I love him, and I want the best for him, and I wanted to pave the way, and I want to be with him every step of the way because I don't know what he's going to do. He's capable of doing literally anything he wants to do. He's brilliant and smart, and he's driven. Yeah. He has a lot of drive, and he's young, and he has surrounded himself with political intellectuals on Capitol Hill that are a little bit older than him, but
sure. Well, here's the thing. If you want to be a millionaire, and you're not, two broke people cannot figure out how to be a millionaire, right? So if you want to be a millionaire, you're gonna have to go talk to a millionaire. So you did what you needed to do and put him around the political people at an early age. So. I say good job, Mom.
Thank you.
And now he's 21, so I don't know if you'll ever watch this, but
I'm sure he will.
Now it's on you, David.
Yeah.
David, it's on you. It's time to pick that ball up and keep going. But good job, sir. Way to be involved. I commend you for that.
David, I know you'll go far.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I say it laughing, but I'm not.
No, we're not. Yeah, we're being serious. No, that's great. So now That's 5 tick marks that I've already checked off. Heavily involved with your son and all the other avenues we went down. So
pretty much everything I did since I knew I was having a child has been for him.
Okay.
I mean, I just revolved my life around him.
Well, now I'm going to pick back to where you said, oh, I was born at Old Baptist and my parents lived in Cantonment.
Okay.
So that means you grew up here.
I did.
In this area.
Yes.
Do they happen to still live somewhere near? So you do have ties up here.
Oh yeah.
That's why.
Oh yeah. I grew up
this
here.
Is interesting.
My parents are still here. I had my grandparents lived on Old Bridge Road.
Okay.
You did know that about me because we talked about impermeable and permeable
That's
asphalt. Right. So yeah, I had aunts and they're all passed away now. But aunts, uncles, and cousins. I still have a cousin who's like a brother to me. He's the closest thing to a brother. He lived with us in high school, and then he went away he joined the Coast Guard.
Puddle jumper.
Yeah.
They still, but still chose to serve, and that's just a joke that I have. But
and he's back here, and he's very close to the family. He's the closest family member that we have.
Okay.
I saw him today actually. He's hanging out with my parents at the house.
Fun fact. I'm very partial to Popeye.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but did you know that Popeye started off as a coastie?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that, but I knew that he was a real person.
Yeah, but the cartoon and all this kind of stuff, he started out when he started as a coastie, and then they switched him to, anyway.
To Navy or something,
yeah. So, tell your cousin that. But, impermeable surfaces, and you're talking about Old Bridge Road.
Yeah.
And after our first conversation, I went back and looked them up, and there's places like Arizona and things that they use them. But did you, I mentioned when I was talking to you the second time, not really good rated at high speeds, but like parking lots and low speed, maybe neighborhood roads and things of that nature. But what you had mentioned earlier, or we had spoke before you came on, you want to talk about roads. Is that true? You still want to talk about roads?
Yeah, because that's important to me.
Okay.
Because we are clear cutting and paving the land, and it's contributing to a lot of negative things like flooding and just deforestation. Where are all the bears and coyotes and raccoons and possums going to go? Where do they go?
My backyard.
Right.
No, I'm being serious, but yeah.
Bears and coyotes end up in people's backyards. Mm-hmm. And then we have things like bear hunting, which we shouldn't have to have. We have things like my parents cats go missing. Mm-hmm. And we know it's because of coyotes. I've heard coyotes in their backyard before. My mom has seen them on her back porch. And we know that every time a cat goes missing, it's probably because of a coyote. And it's because of deforestation. It's because they're clear cutting, building subdivisions where the density should be low density, and they're changing the density to high density. Off Nowak Road, off 97. My parents were going to buy some land out there in the early 80s, and I think the density was zoned, I don't know if it was 1 house per 1 acre or 1 house per 5 acres. I don't know what the density was.
Probably 1 per 4.
Okay.
Probably. I don't know the specifics, but yeah.
Well, exactly where we were looking to buy that property, guess how many houses are there now? Within, I don't know how many.
It's probably that neighborhood back there you're talking about. Yeah, yes. I've been back there, yeah. It's a D.R. Horton neighborhood, if I'm not mistaken.
Crazy. I think so. We drove through it. My aunt and uncle come into town every year for spring break. They live in Wisconsin, and they own a lot of acreage up there and kind of in the woods, and that's where they like to be. And for like the past, 40 years, they've been driving down here every spring break and looking for land. They haven't made a decision. But now there's no land to buy. Like, it's too late. They're never going to buy their land and build their dream house because there isn't any with the acreage that they want.
Sure.
Around here, it's all subdivisions.
And if there is, it's not
either
reasonable.
It's either way too far out, or it's just not. It's not desirable to them for whatever reason.
Or obtainable for money purposes because the investor's going to come get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've been talking, to people, to everybody I know, that we need to put a cap on the population, and people are like, what are you talking about? How can you possibly do that? It's not, it'll never happen. Well, you can through density and zoning. And there was, I mean, we used to have it. It's just that it's there, but I think that they must have changed the density for all these subdivisions. And so now they're clear cutting and paving the land, and it is destroying the natural habitat for wildlife, and it's creating a flooding issue further south, and it's congesting our roads. So we're having gridlock on the roads. And have you ever been to Washington, D.C.?
Many times.
Yeah. That's what this place is becoming like. It's just becoming, the traffic is terrible. So when my son first moved to D.C., he didn't live in D.C., he lived in Bethesda, Maryland, which is just 10 miles across the Potomac. And you go straight down Wisconsin Avenue, and then you turn on Massachusetts, and then you drive into downtown D.C. It's like 10 miles from his apartment to his office. And he used to drive it, and it would take over an hour to drive that 10 miles. Because, and I've driven it every time. I've been up there like probably 14 times in the last 2 years.
Sure.
So, or more than that. So I've driven it quite a few times too. And it takes about an hour to drive from his apartment to his office. It's crazy. No matter where you go, you need to plan on an hour to get anywhere, even if it's 5 miles away. Because of traffic. It's because you're going to be stuck in traffic. Right. And Pensacola is becoming that. So, but now, living out here, okay, so I learned how to drive on 97.
Okay.
That's where I learned how to drive, down 97 to the interstate, because I would go downtown, and because I had friends downtown. I went to high school downtown. Sure. My high school was in East Hill. And that's the reason I moved downtown, was because it takes, it takes 20 minutes to drive downtown. Well, now it takes an hour because of traffic. Because the interstate is congested. Well, that's probably because they're doing the work, but they're doing the work because there's more and more and more. That population is just expanding.
Well, they're doing the work. I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Higher population means more cars on the road. So you tell me your thoughts on what I just said.
Yeah, you're comparing to D.C., and I think...
Well, it's going to become that. It's not that yet.
Well,
but if we don't put a cap on zoning and density, it will. I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you just for a second, sure.
but DC has an industry, and that industry is government.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Pensacola has an industry.
Tourism, the beach.
Correct, but that's not up here.
Tourism. That's not living here.
That's not here, right? But I guess where I'm going with the industry, what I mean by that.
You have a lot of subdivisions going in to not have the industry. What's going on? I mean,
No. I'm saying, do you think there's a huge industry? What I mean by the industry in DC is they have tourism. But they have sessions. They have the Congress. They have the Senate. They have and they have the people that run that.
That actually work in all of those huge.
That's
buildings.
right. So what? And there's and just like you can name any big city, Orlando, they have all the theme parks.
Sure.
Atlanta has all the stuff there, right? So we can keep going.
Atlanta has just huge corporations.
That's right.
All the headquarters are in Atlanta.
Correct, and they're starting to be the film industry now with everything going on. So, what is it that Pensacola has, except for we're just having a dialogue here, right? So
we've got Navy Federal, we've got the Navy base.
And that's as big. So when I lived in, so my last job when I lived in Virginia,
I mean, those are two small examples.
I lived 13 miles from my house to where I parked my car, and it took me right at an hour to get to where I had to go.
In Atlanta?
No, in my last job in Virginia.
Oh, Virginia, yeah.
So when I moved here, it took me right at same amount of time frame, but I lived 33 miles from my house to my job. So
the traffic wasn't as bad.
I can't do it now.
No, I know.
Because I have to leave my house and go down Pine Forest, and that's terrible.
And Pine Forest is going to take you 20 minutes to get from 9 Mile Road to the interstate sometimes.
Yeah. Don't get sick around here and have to go anywhere in the morning or the afternoon down Pine Forest or 29. I guess where I'm going. I guess where I was going with that is, it's arguably to say that there's a draw for that the other city that you were saying, DC, of why that's there. And you're saying that they're building the interstate and all of that. And I think when they're, this is my opinion, again, this is not editorial, this is opinion piece. When they're done with the 6 lanes on the interstate to go to the state line, and they're done with this interchange at Beulah that should have been done, and they widen Beulah Road and all this other stuff that they've already let the businesses encroach on that road. Now they knew they were going to do this. The thing is I think it will just be up to par for 5 years ago.
Right.
Meaning there's no planning for what's coming.
Yeah.
OLF8 will be developed soon, or
geez,
maybe. So what's that going to do?
It's going to just grow the population.
Where are we?
It's more housing.
What's the future look like?
Like gridlock.
There's
complete gridlock and more crime, because with a higher population comes more crime.
I think.
And more homelessness. The city of Pensacola draws in, I mean, they're like, hey, this is a homeless, great place. Come on. We've got all these, we have all these things to help you.
Sure.
And so it attracts them instead of reduces.
Well, besides last year and this year, we had 10.5 inches last year, and this year, I don't know what's going on, but they're saying this weekend, but typically it's decent weather majority of the time. Yeah. So you don't have to relocate, and the homeless. State. That's right, and homelessness, and and if anybody had the answer to homelessness, we wouldn't ever have to talk about it. So when you get up and you hear people talk about, well, we can do this and this and this, it's a multifaceted thing. But anyway, back to the roads.
Yeah. Well, part of the homeless issue is mental illness. Mm-hmm. And so you got mental illness in one category, you've got drugs and alcohol, drugs in another category.
Criminal.
Alcohol in another category, criminal in another category. So you have all these categories of negative things that people did to themselves. They made bad decisions. We all make bad decisions, but they made really bad decisions. They became homeless. Some people just want to be homeless because they don't want the responsibility of owning a house or having to pay bills, or they don't want to be told what to do by anybody. They enjoy being homeless. And then other people refuse to abide by rules. They are not going to be told what to do. They can't keep a job because once somebody tells them how to do their job, it's not their job anymore. They have that mentality. Mm-hmm. And then you have a small population where something tragic and bad actually did happen to them that's beyond their control. Mm-hmm. They got sick. They the woman that relied on her husband to support her and her kids. They get divorced. And where's the woman going to go? What's she going to do? There's no place. She's homeless for. So you do have a small percentage of the homeless population that actually wants help and that actually can be helped. And I believe in helping them. I mean, absolutely, by all means, help them. But the ones that don't want the help or that just refuse to be helped, they need to be put on I don't want to say. Somebody told me I'll say what somebody told me one time, what they thought, because it's not actually what I think, but and more than one person has actually told me, well, they just need to be put on a chain gang and be forced to work. But I don't really think that. But there's something needs to be done other than just these programs that draw in more homeless people that aren't actually helping them. Something needs to be done. And for people with mental illness, we need to bring back the asylums. Because they don't need to be on the street. They don't need to be living on the street. They need to be somewhere.
Yeah. Well, so
I don't have all the answers.
Nobody does, I don't think.
I really don't. I have some answers that maybe need to be researched further.
Sure.
Because some of the things that I say, I'm just thinking off the top of my head as an option, but not the only option, because I don't know what the other options are.
I think where you're headed, and maybe I'm wrong, a blanket policy that people like to throw out, I don't think that works, because you just identified multiple reasons why. Mm-hmm. So you have to you have to address each area differently. So just saying, oh, you're homeless, let's go to the shelter. That's not really going to work with the ones that want to be homeless, right? They're not. Now I'm not doing that.
No, some people want to be on the street doing drugs. They want to live on the street. They want to do drugs.
Right.
And they, they create trash. Okay, so like were you in Pensacola when they had the homeless camp under the I-110 bridge?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was just ridiculous.
Beggs
That
Lane.
should never have.
They shouldn't have let it happen. Yeah.
Right. And it was right there in the middle of the city where tourists and residents
soon as you
have to look
go
at
down
it
there, yeah,
all day, every day. It was just crazy, and it was just a trash pile. It was a dump because there were. If you're going to allow something like that, you need to have rules. First off, everybody there should have signed a rental agreement.
Yeah, like a tent city or something.
Yeah, with rules. There can be no trash anywhere. When they left there, the place looked like the Perdido landfill.
Mount Escambia.
It was all garbage. There was nothing there worth anything to anybody. I mean, and you might say, well, that's your opinion. It was worth something to those people. Well, they left it behind. It wasn't worth anything to even them.
Sure. That's right. Well, what?
I get upset when I start.
No, that's fine. Let's go back
to the roads.
Yeah, let's go back to the roads, the impermeable surfaces. So, what do you think? Okay. What do you think about because you bring that up a lot, and I'd love to hear your idea about if they're doing things where they could put that kind of asphalt to let the water go through.
Well, I think that technology, is always progressing and evolving into newer and better things. And you brought up the fact that it might be good for like private roads and parking lots, but it probably wouldn't be good for like the interstate because you have, 24/7.
Yep.
Just the high volume of traffic would just destroy them quickly because they're not as strong as what they build roads out of.
Sure.
So I never knew about permeable roads until my grandparents lived on Old Bridge Road, just a few miles south of where we are now. And I didn't even know the road was permeable until my grandfather told his brother-in-law to go out and pour a gallon of water on the road. He told him that the water just goes straight through the road. When it rains, there's no flooding because the water just goes straight through the road, and nobody believed him. So he said, well, take a gallon of water and go out there and pour it on there. So we did, and the water just seeped through the road, and it was the first time I had ever even thought of the idea. And so when I met you, what was it, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Year and a half ago,
a year and a half ago, I met you, and we were talking about permeable roads. Well, my mom and I drove to Old Bridge Road so that I could do a video, a show on pouring water on Old Bridge Road. So we got out there, and I'm explaining to the camera, and it was this, beautiful, awesome show that I did. And I had my gallon of water, and my mom was videotaping me, and I was pouring it on the road. Well, it was, it was not going through the road. It was flowing off of the road onto the side of the road into the grass.
They resurface it?
It didn't take long for me to figure out that they resurfaced it. Somewhere along, because that was almost 30 years ago that my grandparents lived there.
Okay.
So, but I had been before I did that, I'd been telling everybody in town, go to Old Bridge Road and pour water on it.
Sure. Yeah.
I hope nobody did because they probably thought, well, she just doesn't know what she's talking about.
Right.
But I didn't know that they had resurfaced it, obviously. But they did. You used to be able. So the fact that they resurfaced it and it's a county road probably tells you that it got torn up. It probably got potholes and it wasn't as strong, structurally sound as what they resurfaced it at. And that's probably why they had to redo it. But, we've had hurricanes since then.
Yeah.
And
well,
roads get washed out.
They could resurface a road today and there'll be a pothole in it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I wonder
I wonder why. I need to find out why they resurfaced it. Maybe I can, ask the county when and why, and hopefully they have the record. I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that. But so when I start talking about pervious asphalt, permeable asphalt, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
People are like, well, that's just going to cost a lot of money. And I'm like, well, it would save a lot of money in flooding. We need ground saturation because we're clear cutting and paving. The local governments, I don't know about state government, but they're changing the density, and they're changing the zoning, and they're allowing subdivision after subdivision after subdivision, road after road, and with new subdivisions comes new stores. So the rural area is going to become the suburb. They're allowing it. I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, we need to change that, because we're just going to be clear cut and paved. There's going to be no natural habitat for wildlife, and it's just going to cause flooding.
So I think we all resist change. I just think that we need to be smart about it.
Right.
We know it's coming.
Yeah.
We can't build south because of the water.
We need responsible population growth.
Right.
We do need to bring in jobs for the people who already live here. There's a lot of kids that grow up and go to school here and have to move away because they move to where the jobs are. So we need jobs here. When I was going to school, the biggest complaint I heard from my peers was there's no jobs here. Where are we going to work? What are we going to do?
Go to the I did hear this. You can go to the welding school up in Century
Right,
or
yeah,
whatever,
get a
but then
trade.
what are you going to do? You're going to take the bus and you're going to go to Mobile.
Right.
That's where they're going to go. So you're right.
Unless you become a real estate agent or an attorney, which there
Attorney.
are 5 billion attorneys in town. I mean, how many attorneys do you think there are in Pensacola?
1,800. 1,657.
Are you just throwing out a number, or do you know that?
Well, yeah, I mean, 93.6% of statistics are made up on the spot, so.
How many, right, there you go. How many real estate agents?
Oh.
How many real estate agents do you think you even have in this house right now?
In this house?
Yeah.
1. So I would say that there's just as many real estate agents as there is attorneys.
Attorneys, yeah.
Because you have to have an attorney for every real estate agent.
Yeah.
I don't know really. But yeah, so I don't know the answer, but I know that I think smart and controlled growth, but I do know growth. I know growth's coming. It's going to come because there's wide open spaces.
It's coming uncontrollably. I mean, they're
that's
just
the
issuing
problem.
permits to every single developer that approaches the county.
And I think that's the information piece that we have
We need responsible population growth.
Right.
We don't need to just clear cut the land. We need protected areas for natural habitats and wildlife. It's not just the bears and the coyotes and the raccoons and the possums and the rabbits. It's insects, birds, squirrels, mice. It's everything that those other animals eat. It's all going away.
Well, it's us too. I mean, well, I've enjoyed this because we're coming up on the final bell here.
Okay.
So there is one thing that I do ask people that come on. Do you have some advice that you would like to give myself and the viewers that may help us in our walk through this journey that we call life? And I don't tell anybody that I ask this at the end, but just anything.
Okay.
Anything.
I don't know. The most important advice that probably anybody could ever accept would be to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I don't want to get too much into that, but that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I could think of that you could possibly give anybody in the world, is to share the gospel with somebody that you care about. But as far as what's going on here locally, or so love your children. You don't, when you have young children, you don't realize how quickly they grow up. You don't. So cherish every moment with your children, because they're going to grow up and they're going to remember everything that you did. They're going to watch you. They're going to learn from you, and they're going to remember it all. And they're going to be adults, and they're going to process that information the way that your own child processes that information, and you want them to only remember positive things about you. I mean, everybody,
That's good.
Obviously, there's always going to be bad things and negative things that come up or happen. So you want to be there with your children. Hopefully, they'll process it in a way that they can still function in life and be who God intended them to be.
That's good. That's solid. So before we sign off, by now at the end of every show that I do this, it's no monetary value. I don't do anything. I don't get anything. So I went over and looked at the new building, and it's Urban Farmer Supplies. They're right over here on 29. Come on, they're by the forestry fire watch tower, right up north 29, right before Highway 196, Barron Park Road. So they have, I'm going to just read the front of the card to help you out. I know it's hard to see on the camera, but they have all your beekeeping supplies and equipment. And he sells other people's honey inside there. His name's Greg Strickland. He's the owner. You can go ahead and give him a call if you want, or text. It's 850-712-6877. Again, here's the card. I know it's hard to see. Hopefully you can kind of pause the video and look at it. But again, shoot in there and give him a shout. Check him out. Great business. They also teach beginner beekeeping classes.
That would be fun.
Yeah, they're very knowledgeable about bees and honey.
If my kid was still young, I would be there.
they have all kind of stuff. They have hot honey. They have soaps. They have everything in there.
So if you have allergies, eat local honey.
Yep. Because they use the pollen from local, and then you build up kind of an immunity. Yeah, we do it. So I will say that I'm gonna let you do your wave, but
okay.
on behalf of us today, we have been here and we've been talking the talk. So you can go out and walk the walk, and I'm gonna let her do her famous wave that she does on her show. But please go out and enjoy our wonderful county and our community. And I hope to see you again here next time. But please watch the Thornton Review as well.
You can watch the Thornton Review on our website, thethorntonreview.com. On YouTube, it's the Thornton Review 7810. It's the Thornton Review at the Thornton Review 7810. The Thornton Review 7810. On Facebook, it's the Thornton Review Show. There is the Thornton Review on Facebook, but if you put the word show behind the Thornton Review Show, you'll come to the page that has all the videos, and WBQP Channel 12 on TV, and Roku and Fire Stick. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good
Talk
plug.
the Talk,
JR.
the Talk JR. Mm-hmm. Thank you for watching this episode of Talk the Talk JR. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later.